Tim, we're going to talk today about the topic of scalability. So basically, B2B companies that have growth plans, right, that want to grow. And are they basically scalable enough? And why is that so important to really enable that growth? Are you ready, Tim?
Of course I am. Yes, I'm sure we'll have some nice examples for our listeners to explain how companies that we work with, or companies that we've talked to, use B2B e-commerce to become more scalable and to become more agile.
Yeah. So in the last episode, you came up with a question to me, Tim. So now it's my turn, I guess, right?
I suppose, yeah.
So why is my question, Tim? Does scalability matter, especially for B2B companies in 2023?
Yeah, well, that's a big question, right? So there's many reasons, of course. If we just look back at the past, say, 5 years or so, and see what kind of things happened that kind of rocked different markets, right? So
Yeah.
from very impactful global events such as the global pandemic, or the war that's still going on in Ukraine. Also, supply chain challenges that we've seen in the past. What was it, 2-3 years ago? So
Absolutely.
sometimes massive global events that disrupt markets, and sometimes more local events that disrupt local
Yeah.
markets. Yeah. So there's so many things that could happen, or that have happened already, and that will happen also probably in the future. That will
Absolutely.
that will rock your market. And the question is, how ready are you, or how flexible are you to anticipate and to react? And what role does online commerce or B2B e-commerce play in that?
Absolutely, Tim. Let's maybe deep dive a little bit further. Like, what kind of topics do we see or do you come across when it comes to growth and scalability for B2B companies? Do you have some examples or categories?
Yeah, sure. So we just talked about big events or global events, but also, even if there's no global events, or if there's global events that are more long term, or more
Hmm.
that impact markets for a longer period, but then still you have to think of how do we use our digital channel, or how do we use B2B commerce to stay ahead of our competition, for instance.
Yeah.
Right. So again, also local events happen. Maybe there's new competitors entering the market, or your competition is launching a product that is more competitive with yours. Right. So
Yeah.
even if everything is just business as usual, it's never business as usual. There's always something happening in your market that potentially is a danger
Yeah.
for your revenue.
Maybe it's a few years ago, right, Tim? But I think everyone, we talked so much about it and it's now a while ago, but I still love these examples basically when the global COVID pandemic hit, right? And I remember one of our customers in the US, Century Martial Arts. They make martial arts gear, right? That's their business, and they are very successful in it. One of the leading suppliers of martial arts and equipments in the USA. And basically, when the pandemic hit, yeah, there was suddenly a drop in demand, right, for this martial arts gear, because you can imagine not a lot of people were busy with martial arts, were maybe able
Yeah, of
to
course.
even
Dojos were
do this
closed.
anymore. Exactly, there you go. So they saw a drop in demand, of course, like many other companies. Again, this is a known story and it's not unique to this company. But what I still remember, and what I loved so much about how they basically were so quickly able to shift, because basically they said, like, we have the materials, and they knew what was going on. They have the materials and the personnel and the machines and equipment, maybe, to produce, in this case, face masks that were, of course, in high urgent need of the market at that time.
Yeah.
That is for all the countries. They were looking everywhere to see how they could get this as soon as possible. So with the lowering in demand or falling away the demand of their traditional need for products that they were delivering, they actually shifted a large part to producing face masks for everyone who needed it, right? The medical institutions in the US in this case. And because they were so, let's say, organized both in the backend ERP and IT systems that they were running, but also with e-commerce, they were very, very rapidly able to shift. And in I think a matter of days or weeks, they were able to just run their business, but in a completely different way, right? And still able to meet demand, but again, demand in a very different way. So that is just one of my memories when I think about a global event that makes a company actually need to change. And one successful example where they were able to do that really successfully.
That's interesting, right? So you say they had the organizational setup, they had the equipment to produce. They also had the distribution channel to distribute, but they didn't necessarily have the sales channel or the customer base, right? Because they were selling to gyms and dojos and all that, right? So they didn't necessarily have the customer base. And then B2B e-commerce allowed them to, kind of unlock an entire new market, and for their new customers to also find them. And to unlock that sales channel, really, that's in a very
absolutely
very turnaround.
Very absolutely, nice. And I think they were running, if I'm not mistaken, they were running a Microsoft Dynamics ERP system that was structured in a very good way, and with a couple of changes that they needed to do, of course, in these backend systems. Well, you also know this with products, pricing. Other stuff, but when that was done, they could actually, because of the B2B e-commerce solution that they were using, that was completely integrated to this backend system, they were able to go live in a couple of days.
And this example, which again I like, is also something that you see in situations where the change is less disruptive, right? So what we also see is companies reducing their risk by kind of broadening their market, broadening their assortment, reducing the dependency on a single market or a single client or a single product set,
absolutely,
and diversifying really. And if they have the organizational setup again to manufacture or to produce and to distribute, then B2B e-commerce makes it relatively easy for them to also reach their customer and unlock that sales channel. Right? So in your example, this company used B2B e-commerce to respond to a very impactful situation event. Thanks. But also it's the kind of the same approach is also seen with companies that are more or that are proactively trying to diversify and to reduce risk.
Yeah, you mean, for example, as part of growth plans that they have to maybe go into new markets or to maybe compete in a certain way with the competitors that are there in the market.
Yes, growth plan, but also diversifying or spreading the risk, right? So if you put a new product on the market, or you want to pilot or test a new product to a new market rather than the customer base that you already have, that's a way of kind of spreading your risk. One of the most difficult parts is though to reach your customers because you don't have that sales channel, you don't have that presence. But if you have online commerce or B2B commerce, then it's relatively easy to reach those customers and to reach those new markets.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is entering new markets, going into new markets, if that's geographically or maybe in terms of product line or industry or whatever angle you take, basically the sales channel often is difficult maybe, or a challenge to organize, and is not set up for it because it is new. So by nature they're not
Exactly.
used
Yeah.
to sell into that new market. And then with B2B e-commerce, you can actually tackle this problem, if I hear you correctly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes it more
Very
more reachable at least.